We're going to talk about psychology, the different levels of ascension, and many other fun things. So you want to take it away from there, Rick? That'd be great.
Oh, thank you, Henry. Yeah, so I wish to have a discussion, between you and I, and perhaps we could have some comments. You have the chat open. If you wish to monitor, that would be great. And yeah, I wish to let's just speak about the awakening, which is, the upliftment in the consciousness to a higher conscious state, and of course, much more. Um, so, having said that, what we're experiencing without degrading everyone, that's not what any of this is about, what's occurring upon the planet. But we do have two distinct layers of consciousness at this time. So, we have what we call the awakened ones. Perhaps that's could be in the millions, billions. I don't have a definite number. But then we have what we call are the unawakened ones. So we have these two levels of consciousness, and there is that separation between them. But what's occurring, this lower level of consciousness, ones that are not awake, every moment more of them are awakening and coming up to learn and know more about, let's say, the truth in the least, with this whole corona thing and many other reasons. So, what do you have to say on that, Henry?
Yeah, it's so interesting, like the way it's happening, because I see like a lot of people since the corona thing happened have started awakening and done so rapidly,
Oh,
But
have
for
you?
others of us that have awakened, for myself, my first big awakening started about in 2016, and it was kind of traumatizing at the time to like see how people are agreeing to such nefarious control with the monetary system and things that exist on this planet, and to communicate with all these people that are unconscious of what they're agreeing to. But now it's like so cool because people are becoming conscious of all these restrictions that they've been agreeing to. And so not only the ones that were struggling to ascend earlier because of the restrictions that they were experiencing, like they can ascend now, as the other ones are like, oh, we don't have to agree to masks and all these restrictions and vaccines and things, and everybody's like waking up, and it's really beautiful because it's like all the different groups of people are starting to see through the shadows of all this like darkness that was just an illusion. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Well, usually with what I would call your age group, of course, on the soul level, we're all the one age more or less, but in these organic bodies where we have different age levels. So having said that, normally with what I'm doing, I do not come into contact much with ones in your age group. So having said that, how is the awakening going there? What are you witnessing like with that?
Well, it's really cool on this island, especially. There's so many people, like just like the younger ones. Some of them are working jobs, but they don't work more than they need to. Like they work enough to pay for the things they need to and the extra things so that they can become self-sufficient through whatever it is, growing food or creating art or something like that. So they're working towards, doing what they love and just doing what they love and supporting themselves through that, which is really cool to see. And when I talk to those younger ones about the new monetary system, they get it. They say things like, oh yeah, we always knew the age of Aquarius was going to bring in a new financial system of abundance,
Yeah.
and they're already in that sharing gifting kind of mindset already, so it's easy for them to accept it. But people over in different parts of the world, you know, like Gloria, who introduced me to you, she's just and adventuring around the US and different parts of the world, and so many people are just they're traveling. You know, it's so cool to see
Yeah.
people traveling and experiencing and exploring, and people are opening up their arms and their homes to travelers, and that's what I've been seeing, which is beautiful. You know.
Yeah, excellent. So with the group of people you are with there, or the group of souls, they are keeping it simple for themselves, very basic, as you're saying, only working a few hours just to get what they need, to survive. But what that's doing also, it's giving them a lot of time in their thoughts and in their consciousness, so that, let's say, they're not controlled by a routine job in the matrix, working 40 hours a week, and even more, and getting caught in that routine, going to work, making the money, coming home, paying the bills. Then, once the bills are paid, the next day begin to go out and work for the money again, keeping in that loop. So they really do not have that loop. They're free to think more than what we would call the masses that are caught up into what we would say the matrix, or the lower reality. Excellent.
Yeah, and it's really cool because like our generation, you know, not everyone has kids yet, so they have that freedom to go and travel and do these things, and especially, you know, living on this island and many places around the world, you know, you can just pop out of the city and you're in beautiful nature, and if you have a van or a camping setup, you know, you can be straight back to have that beautiful connection with Gaia, and then when you retreat to that space of like purity, and when you want to re-enter like the societal space, you know, because we're communal beings, you know, we just enter and do the things that make sense according to that heart space that we found back in that in the natural environment. So yeah, it's so cool like to just see everybody, you know, that I have contact with, they're just having fun. I see so many people smiling and going on little adventures with their families, whether it's far or near. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, so it's the freedom, and they're away from the control from the systems. And this sort of living, what I've been looking at over, let's say, the last decade, it's becoming more prominent, as you're saying. More and more are doing it. And again, at the conscious level, uh, they are breaking those chains and breaking away uh, from the control of everything to do it, to set themselves free. So that is also, it's making a huge statement, but also it's advancing the consciousness even more, because they have freed up the time. They are actually creating their own timeline, as you said, traveling around, going where they wish to go, rather than a government or a society uh, creating the timeline for them where they stay in the loop. Sometimes they might go away for a weekend, but the
Mhm.
timeline is set that they got to come back Monday and go to work, and they are controlled and programmed within that. And so, yeah, it's great to see so many like that. Uh, However, having said that, not in your opinion, let's say if everyone keeps awakening, and uh, would the majority of the people upon the planet be able to do this? I mean, would you reach some point where, if everyone did this, that civilization and society, wouldn't it not stop? Like, do you feel there has to be, let's say, some guidance forward that all agree with to support it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess like to look at it to see how it would work, it would be too much for the masses to just shift lifestyle that I'm talking about, where you kind of you just surrendering to the divine plan, the divine will of source, God, and that's a lot for the masses to just do overnight. But that's eventually it could happen over a very long period of time. But the global people's monetary system is like the smoothest way to transition, because the abundance is already here. Gaia is so abundant with everything we need to live beautiful, abundant, comfortable lives, and it's just only really possible when we distribute the abundance equally to everybody. You know?
Yeah, indeed. Yes, there's yeah, actually, that's all it is abundance there for everyone. It just needs to be um, the way that things were done needs to be changed. So it's shared with everyone, of course. You know, with the higher consciousness, in your opinion, Henry, like, why is this even occurring, if I may ask? Like you, like all of us, we had an upward, what we call shift in consciousness. There was a point, I'll use myself for example. There was a point where I was working hard, busy, keeping up with the Joneses or whatever, that old thing, and trying to provide for your family and make as much money as you could as quick as you could. But with I, what occurred, I became sick before I was awakened, could not work anymore. Of course, it was all divinely orchestrated, but then everything flipped, and then we're showing the truth and the reality of what was actually occurring. But then we're also showed the reality to create the new. Uh, I forget what my question was now. I was going to ask you, and
Oh, that's right. You gave me a cool point, because uh, for me, the easiest way for people to shift is to just do exactly that and pay attention to their vessel, their physical body, or whatever we want to call this body that we're using here. Because for me, that's been one of the most useful tools in my awakening, is to just pay attention to that and give it what it needs and what feels good. And then as the body feels good, your whole energetic toroidal field and your Merkaba starts to radiate more light, and you start to be, your abilities start to increase. You can do things that you didn't used to be able to do or even imagine or know were possible. And that's really cool. And I think a lot of people that are in lower states of consciousness are just not paying attention to their breath and the way that their bodies feel. So that's one of the easiest ways for people to start to ascend, because a lot of the conscious ones I do know are very attentive to their diets. Whatever it is, everybody has their own perfect diet that's evolving as it does. But like some people love to make beautiful meals, and some people like to do lots of fasting, whatever it is. But yeah, to just pay attention to your vessel can really help ascend, because most people have, we've all lived in a society that's designed by the seats that we sit on, the cars that we drive. Everything is designed to make us fall apart and require these pharmaceutical drugs that get us back in that reincarnation loop that we've watched people participate in for a long while. So yeah, we are immortal. We can ascend with our bodies intact and everything. And it's really cool to see, actually, the older, well, not older than me, conscious ones that I'm meeting that I see. Every time I see them, they look younger. They're reversing the aging process every day, day by day. It's really cool to see.
yeah, that's a cool one. Yeah, Henry. What I wish to say, just sharing when I was just only human, like I did not know energy existed, my own energy, and what have you. I was totally oblivious to that. And again, when I awakened abruptly, if you will, about 10 years ago or so, then I start actually feeling the energy and working with it and knowing that it's a very real thing. However, for I, it did not occur until the consciousness made that shift and I awakened. So my point is, we know it's real. We work with the energy. We know it's a powerful and real thing. However, you have a lot of the masses, unawakened ones, they don't know what energy is because they cannot feel it yet. You and I could sit in front of the unawakened masses and speak about energy. We feel it and all of this. But, unless they experienced it, they would not believe it's true. And, this is prevalent. It is the belief in the experience for one to be able to accept something. So, having said that, we are awakened. The Great Awakening is occurring. However, the masses, the unawakened ones, seem reluctant to accept that yet. So, my point is, we can show them, like I have, I've shown miracles to others, and like you may have, and others. And, there are sometimes I even showed miracles to ones that were beginning to advance, awaken, and they would just go back and they would reject and they would regress, and their mind would be negated, that they wouldn't even remember the miracles. They would look at what they considered negative things. So, having said this, in your opinion, is there anything that one could say, that one could do, that we could break into that lower gap of consciousness to assist? I mean, we know we know they will awaken by vibration, and you could say it's a natural progression, but we also know once we're awakened, it is futile to try to impose yourself upon someone that's not awakened, because they'll instantly reject it. And part of their programming is to say, we're nuts that are up here, right? But it's because they don't know yet and they haven't experienced the reality. Any thoughts on breaking through to them quicker instead of us sitting and waiting for them?
Right. Well, it's like you said, like that they need to experience that energy. And but people do, like just not all the time. So like for me, I see people when they're listening to the music they love, or laughing at a comedy movie, or laughing with their friends, or in nature, just experiencing the beauty. That's them experiencing the beautiful energy of life in some degree. So I just like to remind people of those moments and create those moments for people too, with music or conversation or nature, or going to events where people are enjoying themselves. And when people are in that state, I talk to them about the new monetary system, and they're just like, oh, that's great, like they're totally open to it and they get it. But the challenge is, like you said, getting them to like actually go home and go on a website and actually do something. Because if they don't do it, then they're just actually agreeing to continue the old. And so that is a challenge. But like, I just find talking about it all the time, like I find I bring it up in conversation with everyone I meet, because often I can see some kind of worries in just about everyone. And by talking about the new monetary system, you can kind of just cut through any worries, because everybody's going to be looked after once everybody knows that this is a possibility, and that they have a choice to agree with this possibility of abundance for everyone. So it's just to keep talking about it, keep getting it into the consciousness, but also creating fun ways to get it in. Like I think music and film and things people can relate to that seem like more like fun, that they relate to as fun, already will be easier for them to see that, and to really paint the picture for people. Because right now, some people, I feel like they're like, oh, okay, new system, it sounds good, but they don't actually envision a whole new earth of abundance and joy, where every moment you're just experiencing what you love, and you only do what you love, and you receive love and you give love all day, every day. That's the 5D reality that I live in, and I know you do too, Rick, and this is why we're sharing it with the world. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So, you mentioned the monetary system, what we're working on, and again, there is the consciousness levels with that as well. What we have done, you know, to my full knowledge, is we put it as simple as possible. Yet, we see ones that don't get it, and also they don't take the time to look at it. And it's very interesting with that. And actually, this is part of the reason it's all interconnected, that we're having this interview and look at the levels of consciousness. I mean, for I, we have the obvious resistance that is set up, in the beginning against it, and these would be ones that would come in making certain comments, negative, without even looking at it. But we have, like, on the fingers I was going to count, we have so many different scenarios, and it's like it's so much separation because of so many different thoughts out there. And one of the great things with this, I felt we kept it as simple to create a very quick unity. We put everything in it that is the full comfortable existence, that uh, anyone, like even a child, which they are doing, would look at it and know they would wish to support it. So my question would be, why are some just not getting it when it's that simple? Perhaps it's too simple. What would you like to say, like with the consciousness levels, why would some not get it?
Well, one time I was watching a video by a guy, Lester Levinson. I don't know if anyone's heard of him, but he has this little fun little sine wave, where you start up here at source consciousness, and then you have a thought and you descend into the mind, and then like the causal body, and then eventually astral and physical bodies, like way down the bottom here. And so some people, they have to get all the way to the bottom, rock bottom, before you can go up. And you can go straight back up to source, or you can ride the sine wave up slowly. It's kind of up to you. But it's kind of like that, where people, like, the infinite abundance is right there for because basically I feel like once you give your consent and autograph to the new system, you start to experience that reality straight away energetically. You've like given your acceptance of that, and so that's what
True.
we've done. It's great. And other people, if they're too busy being controlled by the old system that has got them in a state of busyness and hurrying around and rushing to death, I like to say some people are, then that's their timeline until they realize just how much they want the new, and so we just got to keep presenting it in creative ways so that they actually get how important this is, not just for them and their family, but the whole global community of people everywhere that really need this. There's a lot of people around Gaia that don't have the simple bare necessities and that you need to survive here. And then once they have that, as soon as you can survive, you can thrive. It's you just need a few seeds and water, and grow things, and we all know how to do it. It's all in our ancestral memory and DNA and everything. And now with the beautiful eco-friendly technologies that are available, it's going to be a glorious time once the new system is implemented, for sure.
Mm. Indeed, yeah. You know, just to go back about breaking through that consciousness gap, getting down to the ones that are unawakened. Uh, what is something we could do? What is your thought on, let's say, getting together the mass meditation by ones that are awakened enough? Do you feel, this is only a thought, I'm just saying, do you feel that if all of the awakened ones would conjoin their efforts all together and focus it upon awakening the rest, do you feel that would have a good impact or a significant one? What do you
Of
think?
course, yeah. It just seems like some of the awakened peoples have are like missing pieces in like the actual 5D density, because like you can awaken and see bliss and beautiful things at much higher than the fifth density, but here in the fifth, like, the people need money still, to get housing and food and, transport, the simple things that they don't have. Many people don't have these simple things, and so the awakened ones, they really have to like step into like this knowing that they agreed to come here to create this abundance for all. Because if they just keep living in abundance and charging money to people for services, and these people are working jobs that they don't enjoy for more hours than they want to, then it's just not cool. It's not pono. It's not from the heart. And so the awakened ones really have to like get grounded back to earth and see that, hey, look, there's billions of starving people living in poverty around Gaia, and let's all get together as the awakened ones and create the abundance for all. And I think it's very important that they do join us, because if they're not, they're just, maybe they're living in their abundance, but they're not actually helping create it for others, which is
Absolutely.
what we're here to do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, there's the first level of when you get awake, and then you, like, let's say, take your sovereignty. There's that level, and you begin manifesting for yourself, and you think that's all of what it's all about. However, once you get to that powerful level, then which it should be, your reality should be a reflection of your consciousness. So when you reach such a good, loving level, um, you should be able just to look out around you in the reality, and everything should be just all love. But what occurs is you look out there, no, like I use again myself for an example, and I don't have these things within me like lack or poverty. But yet I'll look out there and I'll see little children on the street, looking for money or need money for food. So it's at that point that one realizes, after they did all their inner work, sure, they're at a heightened state, but there is something else. And what that something else is that it needs to be the collective consciousness to create that change into reality. So first it's done within, but then you're only prepared then to join with others to create it all together. Because this reality, as you said, it's not about self, it's about the unity and all of the others. It's, in having said that, I still see it, I, as being what you could call an ascension teacher, guide, or whatever label you wish to fixate upon myself. I use the label ascension teacher, but I see all levels of the spectrum of consciousness. It's because of what I do, and I'll even see what I call some very awakened ones, and you try to mention like the global people's monetary system, and they just reject it. And what is interesting is, some of these, they've been working on their sovereignty, and they know what it's all about, yet for some reason they're unable to break through that gap to say, here it is. This is what you've been working for. Now is the time to unite, to create. So, how do we break through that consciousness? So, you have many layers, many levels. So, how do we break through that level of consciousness uh, to let them see that this is it, what we have created?
Yeah, that's the challenge that's why we all have to do our part. I really see music and film as things that people can relate to, that are fun, that they enjoy. And so, those two come to mind for me to create fun little skits with kids or whatever it is, to get people's attention about what's happening, because the children, they really want this new system. They don't want to see their parents working 40 hours a week and stressed about money and arguing about money and complaining about money, and all these things that come off of that one little thing. And yeah, and just keep talking about it. But it is a challenge, and I think that anyone watching this, everybody knows somebody. They say that you're only 10 people away from meeting anyone in the world or knowing anyone on the planet. So everybody can help, and there's many people, I'm sure, that have watched your videos and the videos we've done together that know someone in some kind of media or something that just hasn't, stepped up yet, and they've been waiting to know for sure. And maybe tonight's the night they go and meditate and talk to Mother or Father, God, and ask, like, hey, what can I do to help? And this is
Oh,
the number one project in the divine plan right now, is what I'm told.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Henry. And yes, it is. Everything is divinely timed. And actually, what you just said is beginning to come to fruition. So, this has been a full divine strategy of what we're doing. And like Christina likes to say, we have to wait for the foundation to dry, which is pretty well dried. Then, boom, we build very rapidly. And, that's what's occurring with it. With the getting back like to the children, um, if I'm to speak from the highest divine perspective right now, the children is, yeah, they're perfect. They're in alignment with it. Their innocence, the innocence part of their consciousness has not been robbed. It's actually enhanced because they are prepared here for this time. So all of the children, get it. It's the programmed, the ones that were in the program and conditioned, once they became what you would call a young adult and got pressured into the system, and the years of schooling which robbed their power and innocence from them. These are a lot of the ones that are conditioned. The children are perfect, and but it's these other ones. I don't ever have any concerns or worries at all because it is a divine plan, and I just don't have those. A little bit of things that I may have is a little bit of impatience sometimes, but let me say I have the patience in more than that of job or hope. But nevertheless, there are some times when yeah, I look at what we're doing with this global people system, and we got a simple plan that the children can understand it, and you can have, like, for example, this was funny. Uh, I got in touch with a European group that's for years trying to get a basic income in place, and so I email them, and someone replies back. But before I go to that, on their website, one of the points that said there is no economic solution, to getting everyone in a good, comfortable state. So when I saw that, I send them the email, here's the solution, but they were blinded to it. And they more or less said, we've been working on this project for years. If you want to get involved, here's what we've been doing. When I am giving them the solution right on a silver platter, and they don't see it yet, and they
Mhm.
resort to their measures, thinking, that they need to do it within the box. And this is the thing, they get caught up inside the box, the economics of it, and the solution is not there. But you have professionals and experts within that, with the level of consciousness, they just don't see outside of the box yet. So it becomes, funny. And I ask myself, how simple can we put things? But then you also have that factor of mistrust and misinformation. And, you have also the reasons for some mistrust is because ones have been tricked and scammed all their lives with the governments and these sort of things. Yet
Mhm.
again, here is the full solution. But because of the damage, what the mistrust did to them, their consciousness is negated. And when they look at something beautiful, they just cannot see the beauty of it yet.
Yeah, it's such deep mental programming that has gone on, for decades, for people, and it's hard for them to see outside of the box because the box, it looks so complicated. This little matrix of complicated loops to keep you controlled, and then you step outside of it, everything is it's just so simple. We just create, abundance out of, the unlimited abundance. And to call it money, just like the feds did, except we distribute it to everyone. It's that simple, it really is. And then if people want to understand it more, yeah, it's like there's certain amounts of money and certain amounts of hours you contribute to earn your your contribution. It's like you're getting paying yourself, and so you you go and do what you love, and you get what you need, and it's just so simple. But it is hard for people to accept just how simple it can be when they've been looping in this complicated system of suffering. But that's all people need to know is like, this is what you used to do, and this is what's possible now. Which one sounds better? you know?
Yeah, indeed. Like, yeah, we have a great comparison chart set up, and like, that's the thing. Just to compare what they have now to what we can create within months, as we say. But getting like a little bit back to uh, what I like to say, like, how will I put this? I will say, even to, let's say, the ones that may be just awakening watching this, uh, you are evolving, and what is occurring is the right brain in the human, at least, is being activated to higher degrees. And there's a neurogenesis, what is going on internally within you. And what this is doing is bringing on your higher abilities. And what this does, part of this regenesis, is it begins to activate your extra sensory perception, but your sensations began to be heightened. And this is at the point, once this process has reached a certain stage in the individual, then your neural receptors began to register and feel the actual energies. So they changed. And so why was I going to say that? There was something else with it. To keep it simple, eventually humanity, all of humanity that is going forward, will evolve in this way. And again, we have many at many levels concurrently that are evolved to these certain degrees. And having said that, the ones I spoke about earlier, that have done their inner work, have worked on the sovereignty things for years to have it in place. They are ready at any moment to break through as well to support totally this new world that we are creating. I mean, the time is now. It's the stage is gloriously set as a result of what occurred. There's perhaps 90% mistrust in governments globally if you had the actual factual numbers. So it is occurring. Uh, I wish for it to be done overnight, like many others. We've been tired doing this stuff for years. But what's great to say is we've got it started and it's right here. And once we get um, once we get everyone turned and aligned with creating this new, then it happens very quickly and the old collapses. And one of the tricks with that, again, is to getting all of the consciousness aligned with this one thing. Even the simple science is already here upon the, what the combined consciousness can do. For example, bending a spoon, there's been uh, groups in a room that can bend the spoons and what have you, work with the energy. But having said this, when you have the consciousness combined in the big group, let's say to create, they actually created the bend in the spoon, but where they can do that, you can also create the new reality. And it's getting the consciousness of the most powerful, at least in alignment, and getting them unified. And with that, substantially, you can make huge leaps. And what I refer to is everyone is a co-creator to some degree, but we have very powerful co-creators upon the planet. And once they unite forces, uh, it affects the consciousness like the hundredth monkey effect. However, it's much more advanced than that, and the coverage is much more. You're looking at actually billions of people. So this is one quick way, to break um, the consciousness gap from the unawakened to the wakened. Once we have all of the higher consciousness co-creators building this new, by default, they begin to awaken because you have a unified force of energy and vibration, which is going higher. So this will means they have to come higher, and to come higher, the gap in the consciousness has to be broken and the veil lifted that they see. So ideally, we have all of the higher consciousness co-creators with this global monetary system, putting it together and creating and informing each one. And when all of the consciousness is aligned to create this very quickly, it creates that huge upward shift. And on the energetic level, it is the fear that keeps everyone programmed. So again, you eliminate the stress. Stress is fear, and it was created by the control of money to control humanity. So once we take away that control from the few, and we distribute the monetary wealth equally with everyone around the planet, then that eliminates a huge stress level. And all of the unawakened masses, then they awaken very rapidly because you just took that anchor, that huge blanket of stress, what was keeping them down, they couldn't see. Once you take that layer, then they can see, and very rapidly they awake. And with this, it doesn't take, as I said before, it doesn't take the majority of humanity to do this. Each one of us, and like you affect a million or more. So the numbers are very, very low what it takes when you have the higher consciousness co-creators all working together instead of trying to create another timeline. So unify the effort and, let's do this.
Yeah, that's why I see it's really important, the ones of us that do understand the plan. It's very important for us to talk about it with the other conscious ones that we know, like frequently, and make sure that they understand it, and then to go and do energetic work to implement that timeline together. So whether it's just at home doing a meditation, or in nature doing some kind of movement or playing music or whatever it is, but when you unify together and create an energetic experience with that intention of the highest timeline for all, with the new people's monetary system, then that's really powerful. And anyone can do that with a small group of people, that it just takes one or two or more, right? And it's a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see people filming more of these like ceremonies or whatever energetic work they wish to call it, and just share that too, and just put a little message about the new system for people to see, because there's a lot of magical things happening on Gaia with these awakened ones. And if they can do it with that intention added, because they're always doing it with love and all these things that make sense for all, but to add the intention of the new people's monetary system, people will ask, like, hey, what did you do the other day? Or that video was beautiful. Like, what made you guys do that? And then it opens up the door to talk about, like, hey, yeah, we're energetically imprinting the highest timeline on Earth through this new global people's monetary system. And people will ask, because every time I throw out the words to people that haven't heard me say it before, I'll say, oh, don't worry, there's nothing to worry about. The new system is coming. You'll never have to worry about money again. And people are like, what? What's that? And then they ask more. You see, I just have to make one statement, and people generally are curious to hear more.
Yeah. What I'd love to see, Henry, is, there's millions in the light worker communities. What I'd love to see is all of them step up to the plate and, come and assist. This is what everyone has been, trained for. We can end this ridiculous things in a matter of months if, all of these light workers and awakened ones just join forces very quickly. It's done. And when the separation and the ego is overcome and everyone unite for the common goal, we get this done within months. And I'm still there with it. It can be done in 6 months or even less. Again, and it's just, it takes the unity. We're here, you, I, and others in the team. We are here. It just takes them to come on and get on board and join forces. This is not about Rick George. This is not about Henry. This is about humanity and everyone else, and to end all of the ridiculous things that's been going on. So again, with the consciousness level, everyone has been awakened, to do this. This did not happen by chance. It was no random occurrences. And, you're seeing many, they're going around, they're affecting the sky, with their manifestations and all their work. Well, come on, let's get together and affect this one great thing, and can bring so much happiness and everything. for the planet. So psychologically, yeah, how do we break through to the masses? Well, I feel right now it's best for us not trying to, as I said, awaken ones when you put a plan in front of their face and they don't see it. That's so simple. That's not the way. We need the ones that are awakened enough to understand and that know about unity and the potential power that it has. I mean, when we look at the basics with spirituality or any of the inner growth, it's about unity, not about separation. So once someone awakens, they know that separation is a tactic, if you will, of an old lower dimensional program, that the strength in numbers and the unity. And, we don't need to teach that, and we should not need to remind all of the spiritual community about it. You know, having said that, if you don't believe what I'm saying and you're awakened, just go to get together with another like-minded one and watch the spin-offs of synchronicity you create. They are double or manyfold of what you may have on your own because you're combining that energy to create, and it's having a definite effect on reality. I'll let you speak, Henry, instead of me rambling.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's so simple. And I just wish for the awakened ones to take the time to just go to the website and read for a little bit. I feel like I see awakened ones scrolling through Instagram or Facebook on their phones, just staring at stuff, and it's kind of like brain numbing, it looks like to me when I watch them. And if they would just engage consciously and be present for a moment to understand that this system is like, it's critical thinking. It's like, it's so simple. It's like, what makes sense? And this makes sense for all, and it makes sense for all now. And it's beautiful, and I just wish that they take the time and they understand it, and they share their understanding with others, that this is possible and this is the highest timeline. Because it's like you were saying with the it's like there's a veil here of 4D, when this is the 5Ds up top and the 4Ds down here. And in 4D, people do experience duality and negative fear-based states, and without the monetary system keeping people there, we can so easily just lift it and all ascend into this 5D heaven realm together. But it does take, not all of us, but a big group of us light workers to get together and just make it happen. And if people are just sitting around doing what they've always done with the old system, waiting for another stimulus check or whatever they're doing, and charging money to people who don't have everything they need, and it's just perpetuating the old or creating the new. Let's create the new, and let's do it together, and
Yeah,
have fun.
yeah, get out of that complacency, as you said in the beginning, Henry. This is what we come to do, and if we just become complacent, nothing changes other than uh, you may be locked in your house and only allowed out when a government says so. And so what do you wish to create? So do you wish to live in that reality, or do you wish to join together and change it all? And don't be complacent. Mistrust for anyone is a fear as well. You have a choice to trust in, with that trust prime creator, your connection straight to prime creator. And you don't need to trust me or Henry or anyone, but when you began to trust the prime creator, if you will, and strengthen that, then you eradicate yourself from fear. Then the veil lifts up, then you'll be able to see the plan or what have you, and be able to see more. But if you have mistrust within you, which I'm seeing with ones, it blinds you because it's fear and you cannot see. So if you have uh, little things of fear like mistrust, look at them. And what I said the other day with the website or today, don't look at it if you're in a negated state of mind, because if you are negative, it blinds you from seeing so many doorways out of things. Yeah. So that's anything else, Henry, that we could look at? I wanted to go into the psychology and, the different levels of consciousness and just share what I could. But then it's funny, because what may occur is that ones may not even look at this if they don't understand the levels of consciousness, the higher ones. But I think they will.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so simple. I took one psychology class at university. I've only lasted one semester, but I took one cool class, and it was called critical thinking. And they were saying how they wanted it to be taken in elementary schools or primary schools in New Zealand because it's so simple and important for people to learn. And it's really about talking about grammar and simple choices that what makes sense, and using the right grammar to explain what makes sense. And that's why we've made the divine plan so simple, because it's so easy for anyone to understand. But who's read it? All you have to do is read it, and then it becomes so easy to see the simple choice. So all you have to do is read it. And I'd just also like to just say thank you to everybody that's done all this great work with the website and social media and marketing and sharing information with their friends and families and communities, and all the great work that's already been done. It's so beautiful to see such a big divine team come together to make this possible to where it's at already. To now, like you said, the foundation is built, and now we can go sky high.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. Like we have the contributor group, and that's growing rapidly again. It was growing, then it dipped, but it was a little bit of clearing was being done, and interesting, with it that it's what you were saying, because energetically, once these ones begin to join together, if it's some inner work or something they need to do, some of these will be ejected away to get it done very quickly to come back in stronger than ever. So it's part of the process as well. And it begins energetically, yeah, to change what they're doing. But again, it's on an individual basis because each one is unique. But it's great to see it, the several or many teams we have, they're growing as well. And amazing hours put in by Christina and Anae. Just wow, and this is all volunteer, but I believe Christina said yesterday she started at 5 in the morning and didn't stop until 9 in the night. I mean, if you look at that, what's that? That's 16 hours, like working volunteer, and she does this most every day since the last couple of months working on this. And as all of us have, we're putting our time into this selflessly to create for humanity. And what are we to gain out of it? We're to gain the same thing that we're creating for all. So we don't gain any more or any less. We're doing this for ourselves and humanity equally, to all share and join in it together. But there is a lot of hard work going into that. And I suggest for anyone, if you wish to pitch in an hour of your time, every day, if you're a light worker or if you're someone awakened to contribute and assist with this, because our network of is growing with our teams, but we need to get it fanned out to more places. So the quicker we have more contributors, ones to assist, the quicker we get the word out globally with this. And it's important to get it out all around the world. And yes, even into China, there's good people into China as well. And we need it everywhere, all around the world, because this is multicultural, or it doesn't matter race nor belief. There is no discrimination with that. We're uniting under one common goal so that every man, woman, and child can live in complete comfort, peace, and abundance upon the planet and share and join in that. And this is not a vision or a fantasy. It's a reality, what's here now, that we can create very quickly.
Yeah, there's just one last thing I wanted to touch on that I forgot to say earlier is just when we lift that veil, the reason why it's part of the divine plan is because those of us that can ascend and experience 5D, we're so empathic. We feel, we see and feel what others are experiencing in the lower densities, and so because of that empathic ability and that compassion that we have, that's why we are doing this divine mission. It's not just like you said. It's not for us, and it's not like we want to be the saviors of the earth. No, no, no. We just want to help our brothers and sisters experience the abundance as we can and do. So yeah, it's so not humbling. I'm very grateful to be a part of it, and it's just so beautiful to watch it unfold. Yeah.
Exactly, and thank you for saying that, because each one is their savior, their self, and joining together to unite to make one huge savior with the majority of the people worldwide, and that cannot be beaten or taken down by anything. And that does it. This is it. This does it. Yeah. So it's not one, it's all. That's the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Indeed.
well, with that, I think it's an hour and 2 or 3 minutes. And
Yeah,
you
that's
have
nice.
anything else you want to add there, Rick, before we end it?
No, I'm great with it. We just generally touched on what I wanted to touch on and open up the levels of consciousness and, get the conversations going out there about the levels of consciousness, and to let, the important higher awakened ones as well to come on, unite, and break through any remnants of ego, and to know that this is it. It's go time, and we're doing it. Nothing stops it. Get on board. The quicker we get everyone united, the quicker it happens. So that's great. The message is the same. Woo!
Cool.
Well,
Well, thanks, Rick. Love and light, and I guess we'll do another one soon.
yeah, indeed. Yeah. We'll get on some other topics as well. It's just been so busy.